And now it's time for Urban Legends.
This first urban legend will be familiar with so many versions of the tale of Bloody Mary. It goes that there was once a little girl named Mary who became so ill she fell into a coma. These were times when medicine and medical knowledge was not what it is today, and the attending doctor believed her to be dead. The family arranged the funeral, not knowing they were burying the poor girl alive. Mary's family lived close to the graveyard, and it was later that first night that Mary's mother thought she heard screams coming from her daughter's grave, though no one would believe her. It took several days for Mary's mother to convince the family to dig up the grave, and when they did, they found Mary dead. But they also saw the scratches on the coffin lid, and Mary's fingers bloodied in her frantic attempts to escape. And you yourself can still see Mary, if you have a brave mind and heart. It's best at midnight on a Friday the 13th, switching off all the lights in the house and going to the bathroom. Turn on the water in the bath, shower and sink, and even flush the toilet, and then looking in a mirror repeat 5 times, Bloody Mary. Though when she appears in the mirror you will need to hurry and put on the light, or she will stab you in the back. This story dates back to the 1900s in Canton, Pennsylvania, and to a 7-year-old girl who only wanted to ride her bike, only she decided to ride along the train tracks set above an old cave. The trains didn't run regular, and so all was quiet as she set off, pedalling with a clump, clump, clump between the 2 tracks. But then she heard the whistle, and though turning her head to look back, already knew a train was coming. It took all but that brief second as she hit a rock, dismounting her from the bike. With her knees skinned and bleeding, the train gave another whistle. She had no time to think of anything other than getting from its path. But the little girl found her troubles didn't end there, as trying to get to her feet, she found her dress caught in the track. Pulling and tearing at the material, the train was almost upon her as she used all her strength for one final tug. The material gave way and the girl fell back, down the embankment and into the water below, where she was swept into the cave. Though she managed to survive, clawing her way into a crevice, that was where her body was later found. But that isn't the end of the story, as the cave still moans with the echoes from the girl. And if you enter the cave at midnight, it's said she will follow you, begging for you to stay with her. Another urban legend with a number of versions is a clown statue. It begins with a teenage girl being asked to babysit for the friend of a friend, and arriving at a large house, the father tells her that once the children have gone to bed, she can watch TV in the television room. The parents soon leave and the girl gets the children to bed and goes to watch TV. Everything would have been fine except for the statue of a clown set in the corner of the room. She tries to ignore it, but finds it so disturbing she calls the father, and telling him everything is okay, asks if she can watch TV in one of the other rooms as the clown's statue is creeping her out. The father instantly tells her to get the children, go next door and call 911. She asks what's going on, only for him to repeat that she's to go next door, call the police, and then call him back. There's nothing for it but to follow his instructions, and getting the children, she goes next door and calls the police. Then she calls the father back, telling him the police are on their way, asking again what's going on. This time the father replies, "We don't have a clown statue." He goes on to explain that the children had been complaining of a clown watching them while they were sleeping, which they had put down to no more than nightmares. The police quickly apprehends the clown, who turned out to be a midget. He'd managed to get into the house and been living there for several weeks. It was easy to hide with the house being so large, only coming out at night for food and watching the children while they slept. He was in the television room when the babysitter came in, and having no time to hide, had froze in place, pretending to be a statue. An urban legend involving a real statue is that of Queen Anne. The statue is set on a large plinth at Queen Anne's Gate in London. Now, the name should have been a big giveaway, but children would throw stones and rotting vegetables at it, believing it to be Mary I, or Bloody Mary. The statue is said to come to life once a year, removing itself from its plinth to take a stroll through the neighbouring streets. Though when the statue was cleaned, a plaque revealed that it was Queen Anne and not Queen Mary. The date for this must have been changed, as the queenly statue is now said to come to life on August the 1st, the anniversary of Queen Anne's death. This Halloween mix ends with a story told by the actor Telly Savalas, who related the tale numerous times in television interviews as he was befriended by a ghost long before becoming the lollipop-sucking cop Kojak. It was late when Telly Savalas began his drive home from a friend's house at Long Island to his own home in New York. He was also out of gas, but the lights from an all-night cafe lit up the darkness. He managed to pull in and, having a coffee, asked the way to the nearest gas station. He was told to take a path through the wood at the back of the cafe until we reached the freeway. He was just about to set off on the daunting walk when a voice called out, asking if he wanted a lift. It was gratefully received as he got into the Cadillac of this good Samaritan. It wasn't until he got to the gas station that he realised his wallet was missing, and the man kindly gave him some money, with Telly insisting on having the man's name and phone number. Ariaganis wrote his name on a scrap of paper, with Telly thanking him for all he had done. When it came to contacting the man, he spoke to his wife, who broke the sad news that Harry had died, telling her what had happened and how her husband had helped him. She said that was impossible, as his death was not recent. In fact, he had been dead 3 years. The star was shocked and then intrigued. He described the car, which she agreed was the same as her husband's, the clothes, which she said he was buried in. Then there was the voice, which was unusually high-pitched. That could have accounted for the fact that Ariaganis had taken his own life, shooting himself in the throat. Telly eventually met the widow and showed her the piece of paper on which the man had written, which she was more than sure was her husband's handwriting. It was certainly an experience Telly Savalas never forgot, and it also earned him a new friend in Mrs. Saganis.